Have you ever thought about opening your own mobile cart or kiosk business? Maybe the facility you manage could establish new revenue by adding coffee, food, or retail services. Cart King International can be the answer to your needs. Cart King is a North American designer and manufacturer of the finest mobile coffee, food, and retail carts and kiosks. Cart King has been working with clients and corporations across North America for 20 years, providing innovative designs, custom manufacturing, and timely delivery. Carts and kiosks are fun, and so are the dozens of designs on our website. Please visit us today at www.cart-king.com or just call us at 1-877-986-7771 and get your sales rolling.
If you find yourself in need of legal representation, it can be a very stressful time in your life. In my career, I have dealt with thousands of lawyers, I've dealt with thousands of law firms, and I can confidently recommend to you Keith M. Davidson at kmdlaw.com. Available 24 hours, 7 days a week. Just log into kmdlaw.com. That's kmdlaw.com. Or you can call toll-free 833-4KMD-LAW. That's 833-4KMD-LAW. Personal injury, wrongful death, STDs, sexual assault, car accidents. They handle it all efficiently and professionally. It doesn't matter how imposing the opposition may be, because the team at kmdlaw.com are battle-tested and fierce. They will not stop until justice prevails. Go to kmdlaw.com or call toll-free 833-4KMD-LAW. If you're in for the fight of your life, stop screwing around and contact KMD Law. PureSoapFlakes.com, 218-568-2525. Have you ever heard of Castile Soap? Pure Soap Flake Company handcrafts fine soap bars, laundry powder, and concentrated soap flakes using organic vegetable oils from their northern Minnesota facility. Bathe your body and wash your clothes with Pure Soap products that are free of fragrance, GMOs, palm oil, sodium lauryl sulfate, and synthetic additives. Keep it clean, folks. Pure Soap Flake Company products are kind to living creatures and sensitive skin, safe for drains and waterways, and work great in high-efficiency washers and top and front-loading machines. They have a little promotion going on. Contact them to order some soap. Mention the Opperman Report. You're going to get a free gift. They're going to send a little extra soap, travel size, soap bars and laundry soap, cleaning soap flakes. I've been using that stuff all day long today. Great stuff. Order today at puresoapflakes.com or give them a call, 218-568-2525, 218-568-2525. Pure Soap Flake Company is a proud member of the Handcrafted Soap and Cosmetic Guild. The Opperman Report is brought to you by Aquadam.net. You can give them a call at 707-764-2119. A flooded home is never easy to deal with. You're left with the mess to clean up, the insurance companies to deal with, and not to mention all the memories, the precious memories that are lost in the flood. You can never replace those. And Aquadam can be a tool in your arsenal to protect your home and property from the floodwaters. The cofferdam is filled with water to control water and is reusable as long as it's taken care of. It can protect your home or business from rising floodwaters like a dam, but without the beavers. It can also be used in construction. If you need an area to be dewatered, an Aquadam can do the job. An Aquadam was used at SeaWorld in Orlando for the Mako roller coaster ride during the coaster's construction by dewatering the work area. An Aquadam is now dewatering the work area at San Antonio SeaWorld for their newest roller coaster ride. An Aquadam has been used in many construction projects all around the U.S. and all around the world. Now give Aquadam a call, 707-764-2119. You can look them up online at aquadam.net. You can find them on Facebook at Aquadam Inc. You call them up, you email them, you tell them Ed Opperman sent you, and they're going to take 10% off the price. Aquadam.net, 707-764-2119.
It's the Opperman Report. Join digital forensic investigator and PI Ed Opperman for an in-depth discussion of conspiracy theories, strategy of New World Order resistance, high-profile court cases in the news, and interviews with expert guests and authors on these topics and more. It's the Opperman Report. And now, here is investigator Ed Opperman.
Okay, welcome to the Opperman Report. I'm your host, private investigator Ed Opperman. Okay, big show today. We have J.G. Daniel, okay, and he's an author. And he wrote a book called Hate or Be Hated, How I Survived Right-Wing Extremism. I think he grew up with the John Birch Society, and he's an expert on JFK, by the way. I'm just kidding. Just kidding. Okay, J.G. Daniel, and He was telling me, too, that this book has been like a catharsis for him and helped heal from this upbringing and right-wing extremism. I think it was the John Birch Society. So, Mr. Daniel, are you there?
Hey, I'm here.
Okay, sorry about that JFK thing. Okay.
Hey, no problem at all.
Okay, Mr. Daniel, tell us about yourself. Who is J.G. Daniel?
Well, I'm 47 years old, and I guess I'm an open-minded individual. I'm a father and a husband, and a son and a brother. I'm enjoying life to the fullest now, and this book has enabled me and helped me to really put my childhood and upbringing and sick relationship I've had with my parents behind me. And that's who I am.
Well, what part of the country you live in now?
I live out in the Great Pacific Northwest, pretty close to the coast, where the air is clean, and yeah, it's a great place to live.
Yeah,
great place to raise a kid.
Yeah, we just drove up and down Highway 1 in the Pacific, PCH. Now, when you were going through this, growing up with the right-wing extremism, was that also the Pacific Northwest?
Yeah, that was in Washington, too. That was more inland, in the Mount Rainier area. Grew up on a lot of acreage, a lot of woods and mud, and the wet climate.
Okay, so you say you're 47. I'm 53. Now, and you say that you grew up in right-wing extremism, and that was basically the John Birch Society?
For the most part, yeah. My father, when he got out of the Vietnam War, we actually lived, I was just a toddler, but we lived in Southern California, and he was, home from the war, and eventually hooked up with these Birchers, and then we moved back to Washington, and of course the John Birch Society is very strong in Southern California and Washington, and he maintained strong ties and membership, and of course I was a member as a kid, and so we were kind of hillbilly people, living out in the woods and trailers and a lot of junk on the property, but we were very active in the John Birch Society, and read the American Opinion newsletter as a kid growing up, and all their literature, went to speaking events, and we were also quite active, in the NRA back then, and did a lot of military stuff as a child growing up.
For people who don't know, why don't you describe what the John Birch Society? You're talking about, I guess, in the mid-'70s, right? You're talking about this period of time when your dad got back from Vietnam. Yeah, mid-'70s, early '80s. The John Birch Society was formed in 1958 by a prominent group of wealthy businessmen in America. They were formed by Robert Welch and Fred Koch, father of the Koch brothers, who everyone's familiar with. And their group, essentially, in a layman's terms, was formed in their minds to prevent the spread of communism in America. But what it really is, it's more of a cult of antisocial, anti-government people who want no taxes, and they want no intervention or support or involvement from the government. And they want everything to be, like very much like in a libertarian utopia sort of fantasy world. These people believe in conspiracies of anything and everything that they are not directly involved in, or their members. They are, they are the worst of what I believe, Americans are today. These people are worse than in a lot of cases, the Trumpsters, or, and mostly, the members of the John Birch Society are adults. However, when they get involved with children, and of course, I was a member at the age of 10, but when they get involved with children and they start preaching their paranoia and their fear and their hate to kids, and then you mix that in with, the monthly subscription to Soldier of Fortune magazine, it can really mess with the kid's head. And so that, in a nutshell, that's kind of my experience with them as a child. And of course, growing up as a young adult, I definitely had connections and ties. And then
finally, I guess in the mid-'90s, I just completely broke free of the Birch Society, but not of wanting my father to be proud of me and appeasing him with his beliefs, whatever, calling him out and, telling him he was full of crap with a lot of the things that he believed.
Well, why don't you give us an idea of some of the conspiracy theories that the Birches were involved in? A lot of it was of the UN and stuff. They're afraid of the UN. And
pretty much any organization that promotes, cooperation on this planet is a conspiracy theory to them to weaken America and to take away our liberties and freedoms. And every time, if a news media source reports that, as an example, Donald Trump's a bigot, they say there's a corrupt media, and so they pretty much attack everyone and anything that doesn't believe or say what they say.
And the Birches also thought that everybody was communist, no matter who. It could be everybody.
Very much so. Robert Welch was close with Joseph McCarthy, and so, if you weren't 100% John Birch with their opinion of you, they accused you of either being a communist or a communist sympathizer or a dupe or a liberal or an idiot. I think over the years there's only been very few people that they've really stood behind, the Strom Thurmonds, the Jesse Helms, the Ron Pauls, Michelle Bachmann, Sarah Palin. These are people that they've really stood behind. And for the most part, if you're a Jack Kemp sort of, conservative Christian Republican, they're not, but you have social values or they will attack you.
Yeah. Now, is the Birchers, are they still around today?
They're very much so and very strong, stronger than ever. They are the inspiration and heart and soul of today's Tea Party. They're incredibly active with what they're doing, and when you look at their involvement and their inspiration for the groups, for the other hate groups they've been in America, they have truly been the inspiration for a lot of the right-wing extremist attacks and violence and murders in this country. And they're very much behind what's going on with Donald Trump and his followers today. Ooh. Where Birchers are a lot like Trump followers in the fact that when the Birch Society says something that's completely not true or false, their followers will believe it 100% without question. And you see a lot of that today with the Donald Trump followers, where they believe everything he says without question. And it's just a sad way to live, to not question things. And even when I was a kid, Dad would say things, and I never really ever questioned Dad, but part of me would think about things he would say that doesn't make sense, like how the United Nations was formed solely to create a world government and to take away the United States and every other country to where it would just be one world government and there would be no countries and we would all be one. And it just never really made sense to me that the United Nations was formed for the purpose to destroy America. And that's, of course, what I believe for the vast majority of my life.
Now, how did this, as a child, what would happen when you would go to school and you say, well, my dad says this. You're telling me that George Washington is this kind of person, but my dad says this, How would that work out?
Well, I was taught that my teachers were all liberals or communist dupes or sympathizers or full-on commies, and their job was to brainwash me to become a liberal. So when I went to school, I never really engaged because Dad taught me that, arguing with a liberal is futile. And, of course, I believed all my teachers to be liberals or commies. And so I never really argued. I just did what I needed to do to pass. And that was great. My parents were happy if I got C's or D's. But, it was important for me to get a high school diploma. And so essentially I just needed to do what I needed to do to pass and get on with life.
And did your parents want you to go on to college? Were they preparing you for that?
No. College is where you receive the ultimate brainwashing from, the communists and liberals. And so, no, there was zero encouragement to go to college. And in fact, when I did go to college after I joined the Army National Guard on the GI Bill, I went to a smaller community college. Dad had a long talk with me and warned me about the brainwashing I was going to receive, and that I needed to really pay attention to the things they were saying.
Wow.
And so none of my siblings went to, I had 3 siblings. None of them went to college. One of them graduated high school, and no, going to college would not be welcomed.
Okay. Now, what about your 3 siblings? Did they follow along on the path of your father, or did they follow your path?
No. So I was the firstborn, and received a lot of attention. And Dad used to tell me that my siblings didn't have the intellectual fortitude to comprehend the things that he was teaching me. And so that's why he never really focused on them. They weren't really exposed to the Birch Society, or, didn't really go to their summer camps, although my kid sister did go 1 year. But they never really believed what they heard, or they didn't let it soak in what they were being told about, America and our government and media, where I was comprehending this stuff and taking it in.
What would go on at the summer camps?
The John Birch Society summer camps, the one I went to was at the YMCA summer camp over on Lake Wenatchee. It's about 2.5 hours east of Seattle in the Cascade Mountain Range area. And it looked like a typical summer camp, because it was, except for during the day, we had speakers and classes and programs on how Satan was involved in the music industry, and if you listened to rock and roll, then you were listening to the devil's music. It taught us about various organizations like the United Nations and the CFR, the Council on Foreign Relations, and the Trilateral Commission, and the Monetary Fund, the World Bank, the Federal Reserve, and all these organizations we were taught about, and the individuals behind them, and how all these organizations existed to end the sovereignty of America. And so we were taught about all things. And so that's kind of what that typical day was sitting in a big hall listening to speakers and reading their literature and studying these things. And then, at night there was the campfire and sing-alongs and a little bit of hiking and boating and badminton, that sort of thing.
Yeah, I was going to say, what about the canoes and the fishing and all that stuff?
That happened. There were breaks for that stuff, but there were, probably 6 to 8 hours of speakers and going over different things.
And what was the attendance like? How many kids were there?
There's probably 200 or 300 kids there.
Now, did you stay in touch with any of those kids? When you grow up and you get back in touch with kids from camp?
No. Although a few years ago I did receive some emails from a couple of gals who I met at the summer camp. I actually played guitar. I played guitar a little bit because I was in music. And
right.
Apparently they had a crush or something, and they actually reached out to me in an email that said how much of an impact I had on their lives. It was kind of weird. I don't know if they were hitting on me or what, but that was about it. But no, there's been no contact. So.
Now, what kind of church did you go to? Did you go to church?
Rarely. Mom and Dad, I've never seen my parents at a church before, except at a wedding. My uncle was a very religious person, and I went with him a few times. The last time I ever went to a church, I was 14, and it was a Baptist church, and I wasn't regularly going, but occasionally I went, and the pastor told me if I didn't go to church every Sunday, I was destined to go to hell. And so I never went to church again.
Oh, that's a shame. Now, what about your dad? Was he like an angry guy, or was he calm when he was telling you this? Or was he ranting and raving? Did he drink?
Dad drank and took a lot of pain pills. He was always angry, and always had enemies, and always had something negative to say about everyone and anyone, including my mom, my siblings, my teachers, his friends, our relatives, politicians, media people, celebrities. He was critical of everyone and anyone.
It sounds like me. Okay. So what do you do for work? What do you do for a living? Your dad?
I'm in sales.
No,
today,
your dad. Your dad.
Oh, my dad?
Yeah.
No, dad retired. He because of the kind of rough living where he cut a lot of firewood in the 80s to make money and scrap metal and did things like that. He didn't have a good back, and so he was working for the federal government, ironically, in the early 90s, late 80s, and got to the point where he couldn't work anymore, so he got a disability pension from the federal government.
Gotcha. And that just gave him more time to sit home and read these books and watch these tapes and drink and take the pills, right?
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah.
Yep.
Now, what about physical abuse? Did you have physical abuse when you were a kid, you and your sisters and brothers?
No, not really. I mean, a couple incidents with Dad where, maybe when I was 12 or 13 and, maybe talk back to my mom a little bit. One time he did punch me in the gut. I fell to the ground, and another time I think I was talking back to my mom again, and he made me go out. He told me to go get a stick, and I went and got a small cedar bough, which was a terrible idea. Because he, came outside and grabbed it from me and whipped me with it. But, back then I think that was more common and custom than it is today. But no real physical abuse at all. So, other than those things. And, of course, I've got a 17-year-old son these days and, never laid a finger on him.
Right.
Of course.
Yeah, it's totally different now. I'm like I said, I'm 53. When I grew up, forget it. Yeah, the neighbors would be us. Forget your own parents, the neighbors' parents.
When I grew up, the principal at school had a big paddle,
Yeah, me too. Now, what about your mom? Was she as fervent in all this as your dad?
She didn't appear to be, but what she was your typical stay-at-home mom in America, and she was, active in couponing and bingo, and reading the National Enquirer and watching soap operas and doing all of those things. And, she was she did what Dad said. I mean, he was the man, the boss, and even if she didn't like it, she would rarely argue. She'd never really had a job. I don't think she's ever received a 1099 or a W-2 in her life. But she always supported him and the things he did, but she was never very active in these things when I was growing up. When I, through the course of writing the book, I kind of had rough drafts, and I had some things that were a little bit sketchy with my memory, and so I call her to clarify some things, and then she would tell me that those things never happened. Your father wouldn't have done that, she'd say. And I was like, no, I totally remember that. I just don't remember what year it was, Mom, or, how old I was or what have you. And she was in complete denial that he and I did a lot of the things that we did when I was growing up. So she was kind of, she would tell you today that Donald Trump is not a bigot and Hillary is. That's who my mother is. And she divorced him about 4 or 5 years ago, and I was actually really proud of her and happy for her. And then she ended up marrying another guy who was almost just like my dad, maybe not as extreme, and he actually recently passed away.
And what about your dad? Is he still alive?
Dad is still alive. I understand he was recently in the hospital with pneumonia, but I haven't heard whether I didn't hear that he died, so I assume he's still alive. We have no relationship whatsoever. I have mentally divorced my parents from my life and from my son's life. They haven't, when I heard that my stepfather had recently died, I actually got a call from my mom's mother telling me, because she heard that we weren't talking, which was news to me. And then I sent her a message about how sorry I was, and he was a great guy, and she never responded. There was a memorial service. I wasn't invited. The last time I heard from my dad, he called me on accident. And prior to that, the last time I talked to him, he hung up on me because I have been more aggressive in terms of challenging the things that he would believe or, taught me. As an example, one of my sisters has got decades of experience with crack abuse. And I asked Dad one time where she was living, and he said he didn't know. And I said, well, she's living on Section 8 housing, Dad. And that's government-assisted housing, and to the Birch Society, that's socialism. And she recently had a preemie child at about 6 months, and her and the child spent 3 months in the hospital. And, of course, she has no medical insurance. And, of course, the taxpayers paid for all of that. And, and I asked Dad about who's paying for that because, and obviously what it was me throwing things in his face to show the hypocrisy of his ideals and thoughts on being so extreme and how, it's not a good way to think or to be. And none of those conversations ever went well. Yeah, and so we don't talk. We don't. They're both still alive, but they're definitely not my parents.
It's not easy being estranged from your parents, right?
It's not easy, but I will tell you that I probably spent the last 25, 30 years trying to make them proud of me, right. And everything I've ever done, and I've achieved quite a bit in this life. I've won a lot of awards in various different things that I've done. I've excelled in most everything I've ever done, except for having parents who are proud of me. I actually make a very good living. I've won a lot of things and done a lot of things to, I guess, try to get their approval or let them know that they did a great job, but they never responded well. In fact, every time I ever did anything positive or told them about it, it was responded with criticism and mockery. And they would call me names and tell me how wonderful and call me Mr. Wonderful and using sarcasm and all these things. And just only in the last few years now have I quit calling them to tell them certain things. And I'm up the mindset now that they don't have the right to know what I'm doing or how successful I am or how happy I am. It's because when I call to try to get that approval, it resulted in depression, in anger, frustration, and it only made me feel worse. And so I've quit.
Now, what about...
Go ahead. Oh, I said I quit, and life's been a lot better since I've given up.
Now, you have kids. How many kids you got? You have one 17, I know.
I have one, and he's 17.
All right. Oh, one. Okay, good. I have one kid, too. Now,
yep.
Now, when you're raising your kid, and, the kid does something stupid, and you kind of think back and say, oh, my God, if I did that when I was a kid, it would have been a whole big, it would have been Did you have a lot of those instances when you were raising your child to think, boy, gee whiz, this is how I handle this. My parents handle this totally differently. A lot of stuff like that. Yeah. It brings back so many memories, right?
To a point. Actually, my kid, he's quite politically aware, and he knows how I feel and where I'm at with issues. I tell them, I'm not a fan of labels or of being called a Democrat or Republican or an independent, because even to this day, I wouldn't even accept one of those labels. And he'll joke with me about, Trump or Kasich or, Hillary or things like that. And so, I don't try to persuade him to have a certain opinion. We just talk about things. And typically, political discussions with children, I just don't even know how appropriate that is. I think it's more important for me as a parent, and this is something I've completely taken the lead from my wife, who recognized that I had a pretty messed up childhood, but never really understood what it was until she read this book, which was a difficult time writing this book. But, teaching our child to be empathetic and to be polite and caring and understanding to his, classmates and his friends and people who aren't his classmates and people who aren't his friends. These have really been the focal points of our raising our child, just to make him, if we can teach our child to have empathy, then we are successful. And I completely believe that.
Yeah, absolutely. This might be a good time to take a break. We're with J.G. Daniel, and that's no S at the end. It's a D-A-N-I-E-L. The book is Hate or Be Hated, How I Survived Right-Wing Extremism. The book's available on Amazon. You can also find it on his Facebook page. Mr. Daniel has a Facebook page, Hate or Be Hated, How I Survived Right-Wing Extremism. So pop over there, give it a like. We'll play a little commercial message. It's about 5 minutes long, so you have plenty of time to go get a drink, whatever you got to do. And if you don't make it back in time, don't worry, I'll just fill the time to get back. We'll be right back after these messages with more of J.G. Daniel, Hate or Be Hated, How I Survived Right-Wing Extremism. And now a word from our sponsors. If you find yourself in need of legal representation, it can be a very stressful time in your life. In my career, I have dealt with thousands of lawyers, I've dealt with thousands of law firms, and I can confidently recommend to you Keith M. Davidson at kmdlaw.com. Available 24 hours, 7 days a week. Just log into kmdlaw.com. That's kmdlaw.com. Or you can call toll-free 833-4KMD-LAW. That's 833-4KMD-LAW. Personal injury, wrongful death, STDs, sexual assault, car accidents. They handle it all efficiently and professionally. It doesn't matter how imposing the opposition may be, because the team at kmdlaw.com are battle-tested and fierce. They will not stop until justice prevails. Go to kmdlaw.com or call toll-free 833-4KMD-LAW. If you're in for the fight of your life, stop screwing around and contact KMD Law.
Are you ready to change your life, but don't know how to start? Is your stress and worries keeping you awake at night? Have you been battling grief, anxiety, or depression all alone? Have you lost touch with your own sense of being or spirituality? Soul Free Therapies offers professional and affordable live video streaming counseling and coaching services from the comfort of your own home. Sessions offered in English, Spanish, and Portuguese. Go to our website at www.soul-free.com and book your first session today.
The Opperman Report is brought to you by Aquadam.net. You can give them a call at 707-764-2119. A flooded home is never easy to deal with. You're left with the mess to clean up, the insurance companies to deal with, and not to mention all the memories, the precious memories that are lost in the flood. You can never replace those. And Aquadam can be a tool in your arsenal to protect your home and property from the floodwaters. The cofferdam is filled with water to control water and is reusable as long as it's taken care of. It can protect your home or business from rising floodwaters like a dam, but without the beavers. It can also be used in construction. If you need an area to be dewatered, an Aquadam can do the job. An Aquadam was used at SeaWorld in Orlando for the Mako roller coaster ride during the coaster's construction by dewatering the work area. An Aquadam is now dewatering the work area at San Antonio SeaWorld for their newest roller coaster ride. An Aquadam has been used in many construction projects all around the U.S. and all around the world. Now give Aquadam a call, 707-764-2119. You can look them up online at aquadam.net. You can find them on Facebook at Aquadam Inc. You call them up, you email them, you tell them Ed Opperman sent you, and they're going to take 10% off the price. Aquadam.net, 707-764-2119. PureSoapFlakes.com, 218-568-2525. Have you ever heard of Castile Soap? Pure Soap Flake Company handcrafts fine soap bars, laundry powder, and concentrated soap flakes using organic vegetable oils from their northern Minnesota facility. Bathe your body and wash your clothes with Pure Soap products that are free of fragrance, GMOs, palm oil, sodium lauryl sulfate, and synthetic additives. Keep it clean, folks. Pure Soap Flake Company products are kind to living creatures and sensitive skin, safe for drains and waterways, and work great in high-efficiency washers and top and front-loading machines. They have a little promotion going on. Contact them to order some soap. Mention the Opperman Report. You're going to get a free gift. They're going to send a little extra soap, travel size, soap bars and laundry soap, cleaning soap flakes. I've been using that stuff all day long today. Great stuff. Order today at puresoapflakes.com or give them a call, 218-568-2525, 218-568-2525. Pure Soap Flake Company is a proud member of the Handcrafted Soap and Cosmetic Guild.
It's the Opperman Report. And now, here is investigator Ed Opperman.
Okay, welcome back to the Opperman Report. I'm your host, private investigator Ed Opperman. We're here today with J.G. Daniel. He's the author of the book Hate or Be Hated, How I Survived Right-Wing Extremism. Also, too, you could find a Facebook page, Hate or Be Hated, How I Survived Right-Wing Extremism. We're going to have a link, too, in the Opperman Report bookstore at OppermanReport.com, and also, too, on the blog. Now, Mr. Daniel, a couple questions for you. Back to the John Birch Society, was there a lot of anti-Semitism and bigotry, racism, too, involved in this?
Oh, without question. I mean, blacks were called the N-words, and, Mexicans were called wetbacks, and other people were called, Jews were called Jews, and people from Asian descent were called kooks, or, without question. I mean, if people didn't, if they weren't white, and for us, because we were rather rednecky or hillbilly, even people who dressed up in suits, we'd make fun of and call them yuppies or whatever. But, I mean, people were always labeled with names without question.
And the theory was like the Jews run the world and control the world and that kind of stuff.
Without question.
Yeah.
Yep, the Jews run the world. They run Hollywood, the media. Jews run everything. The sports teams, they run the world.
Banks, yeah. Now,
banks, everything. Yep.
Yeah. Now, when did you start questioning this? How old were you?
When I was 17, a friend of mine played guitar in the high school band, and the bass player had just graduated, and he thought it would be cool if I learned how to play bass guitar, because prior to that, I was pretty much into nothing but hunting and fishing and trapping and cutting firewood with my dad. And so I took the bass guitar home over the summer and kind of learned how to play it and joined the high school band. And from there, popularity, I started becoming, I guess, more popular of a kid, and got interested in girls. I was also a late bloomer. Puberty didn't happen until I was almost 17. And so started to get interested in other things other than, saving the world from communism. And that's when I started to not really have a fallout with my dad, but started taking on other interests, and at the same time trying to keep him happy as well. Because of music, the devil's music, and rock and roll, because of that, I basically picked up other interests and hobbies, and because of that, I wasn't full enthralled in saving the world and fighting that fight. That's what, I guess, led me astray from ending up like a Timothy McVeigh, or even worse, a Ted Cruz. I don't want to say worse, but to being someone like that, so I wasn't just a completely dedicated soldier and agent of fighting this war against communism or government.
But how did you get exposed to these other ideas? Just through the music?
I didn't really get exposed to the other ideas, frankly, until probably the mid-'90s, to where I knew that, welfare was actually a good thing for, helping fellow Americans, and arts were a good thing, and sports were a good thing, and culture was a good thing. These things really happened long after I moved out. I was completely opposed to, concepts like public education and the arts and entertainment prior, because these things were all nothing but distractions from what was really going on in America. And I believed that when I was growing up.
And then you one day had a confrontation with your dad about this, or was it your...
We've never really had a full-on confrontation about everything. I've never told him that he was an idiot. I've never, except in my book, or toward the end of the book, there's a chapter called Old Man, and the chapter is really to my dad. It's a letter to him. And I've never confronted him or called him out or had a big blow-up argument. I don't know if it's because I'm too afraid or what, but we've never had a confrontation.
Well, now you said you were 17 years old when you started getting exposed to other things. But when did you come to the conclusion that he was an idiot? That's pretty harsh. When did you come to that dramatic conclusion? What age you think?
I think with 100% certainty, not until about 2 years ago. Sad to say, but I think it probably started when I was 17, and the 30 years between being 17 and 47, like I am today, I always had doubts about how much of an idiot he was, or was he right about some things and wrong about other things, and I didn't really know. The day, on the September 11th. 2001. I thought my dad was, at that point in time, the greatest American patriot ever. I was so proud of him that day because he was right. I thought about what was going on in America, and that was the day I totally reverted back to wanting to be like my dad and totally believing everything that he had said. He was right. And then during the 2012 election year, with everything going on with Ron Paul, I was having issues in where I was, really talking it up with Dad about things, and he was right about certain things, and it was just, I think maybe more than anything, it was me trying to look for a connection, a bond, or something with him. But I didn't know for dead certainty just how wrong he was until the book was complete and I had really read it. And of course, during the process of the book, reading the things that I had written about what I knew and thought were true, that I really come to the complete conclusion of how just messed up my childhood was. And prior to writing the book, I never would have told you I had a strange or messed up childhood at all. Only after years and decades of therapy and the process of writing the book that I really able to come to the conclusion that this is not how we raise our children. And then when I see other people, grown adults, who are racist and sexist and bigots and full of hate and anger and clearly have self-esteem problems to where they always have to have an enemy, it's like, these people are just like my dad. These people, they just haven't been exposed to the John Birch Society. And when they hear someone like Trump say, get all the Mexicans out of here, I mean, they're saying that because they're angry. They're not saying that because they really have a problem with illegal Mexicans in America. They're just angry, and they're angry about something. And so when angry people get mixed up with other angry people, it gives them a sense of entitlement and a sense of righteousness, and it lets them know that they're right, even though they're all just completely wrong.
Now, when you said that, when you saw the World Trade Center bombing in 2000, that you thought your dad was finally right, and meaning that you believe it's an inside job.
At the time, absolutely. I believe that the CIA and the NSA and the Bush administration and the United Nations were all involved with the Saudis. Taking down America. We were going to destroy America's financial status, and this was the beginning of the end. I absolutely believed it was.
And what do you think now? You think it was 19 guys with box cutters?
I think.
You know what I'm saying?
That's not funny, but I think America's interventionist roles in the Middle East, our imperialistic ways of trying to make the whole world like us. I think that's ultimately, I think we got paid back, unfortunately, for our roles in the Middle East, and that's why 9/11 happened.
So the theory that many people have that it was a U.S. Orchestrated demolition.
I don't believe that for a second, not at all.
But you never believed that, or you did at one time?
I absolutely believed that within the weeks and years following 9/11. Okay. Absolutely.
Now, you keep mentioning Ron Paul. So now the Birchers supported Ron Paul?
I don't know if Ron Paul is a member or not. No one knows officially who's a member or not of the John Birch Society because their membership is a secret and it is not released or published. Only the members know who the members are, and whoever's in charge of the membership knows who they are. But Ron Paul was someone who walked the walk and talked the talk and spoke pretty much the exact same things as the Birch Society, the Birchers.
And when you said that when you saw in 2012 what happened to Ron Paul, you mean like how everything was rigged against him? And it was pretty amazing that he won every debate according to the online polls. And then what do you make of that?
Well, I ultimately I think America as a whole, regardless of even what political party you are or where you are, I think most people have been raised to be racist. And I mean, our quote unquote great American heritage is a heritage of white men founding this country and running this country forever. And so I think a lot of people on all sides of the aisle really had an issue with the black man who was intelligent and gifted and compassionate and kind and sincere and patriotic running for president. And I think a lot of the diehard racists in America went the opposite direction, not because of what he stood for or what he believed, but because of the skin of his color. And when that happened, prior to the 2012 election, so when that was going on in 2010, 11, and 12, or 11, a lot of people got angry about how well he was doing, and so I think they reverted back. Case in point, I've got an aunt who was a liberal for most of her life. She was a college-educated high school teacher, and she never got along with my father or parents, and there were always disagreements, and Dad was always incredibly critical of her. Well, in 2011, she changed her personality and flat out was calling Barack Obama a socialist and a communist and a traitor and all these things before he was even president because of the fear of a black man. And I think we're seeing the same things today with a woman, because women, according to Birchers and according to the childhood I had, they don't have a place in leadership. They don't have a role in leading. Women are followers. They are supposed to be obedient. They are supposed to be nurturers. They are supposed to be caretakers. But women are, I was raised to hate, oh God, I can't forget her name now. Who's the actress on TV, the single actress? Why am I forgetting her name?
Single actress?
Growing in the 70s, she had her show.
Mary Tyler Moore?
I can't remember her.
Mary Tyler Moore?
Mary Tyler Moore, absolutely. We could not watch the Mary Tyler Moore show in my house because she was not married. She was not she did not, raise, have children or raise children. She had a career. She was independent. She was, in a lot of respects, everything that was wrong with America when I grew up, because that was not what women are supposed to be.
Isn't that amazing? Things have changed so much, I never even considered that aspect of it.
I wouldn't use the word that things have changed, but I would use the word that things have progressed.
Yeah.
And that America, I love this country and our system of social change. And, I'm a straight white guy in his late 40s, and I have no problem with people being who they are at all. And Birchers and people on the extreme right or on the right, they've got a problem with it, and ultimately they've got a problem with it because of how they were raised and things they were taught to believe, and I don't believe they've really questioned their own belief systems with factual data and an open mind and intelligence and compassion. I just don't think they question what they think or believe. And you look at gun control. George Bush enacted more gun control laws during his 8 years than Barack Obama has, not even close. Barack Obama has been a complete failure on gun control legislation, yet everyone's going after him for their Second Amendments. They're doing the same thing to Hillary, which is just ridiculous. But they hear something, they're told something, and then they start repeating it. And, Hillary wants her guns, Hillary doesn't want anyone's guns, but they'll tell you that, and people will believe it and repeat it. And it's just not enough facts and real data that is used in America today. And even when you look at the current election, if you look at just facts and data, there's really no contest. But if you look at America for the entertainment value, because we are clearly a culture based on TV and entertainment, of course Donald Trump's doing well. He's an entertainer. I mean, if he wasn't running for president, he would be hilarious and entertaining, and I would watch him every night. We all do, because he's so damn entertaining. But the thought of him actually leading the free world is it's a damn nightmare. And who knows what Donald even believes? I mean, I don't think any of us really know where he stands on anything.
You got to admit, this is the most bizarre election cycle in both of our lifetimes. I don't think I've ever seen anything like it. I can imagine
The scary part for me is, my son is 17, and do I really want my son watching a presidential debate these days? Because the amount of racism and bigotry and fear-mongering and hate that you see is really unsettling for children. And then, we don't, ooh and ah during the debates. And kids these days are seeing these things on TV.
Oh,
and they're seeing their parents yell. And it's just the exposure to the racism and the sexism is just uncomfortable.
Yeah, well, if you've ever been to a Trump rally, I covered a couple of the Trump rallies in person there, especially the ones in the beginning. Just it was an incredibly frightening freak show. Just people sitting around mumbling about, the Black Lives Matter and ISIS, and they're afraid of everybody,
They are.
Now, in the primaries, who did you support in the primaries, Hillary or Bernie?
That's not something I share with anyone.
Okay.
I'm really, there's no yard signs in my driveway or in front of my house, for politicians. I'm just not that kind of person.
Well, we're down to about 3-4 minutes. What do you want to leave us with in your life? Hate or be hated, how I survived right-wing extremism.
I would say that when you look at the world today and people who are full of hate and anger and have fear and paranoia, to really examine why you believe the things you believe and examine it with facts and data. And when people tell you the media is corrupt, sure, there's some corrupt media, but with the advent of video today, you can watch a candidate or a speaker's speech and truly see what they're saying and know what they're saying. And who cares what the journalist adds on top of it? When Trump said Barack Obama was the founder of ISIS and Hillary was the co-founder, and then tried to spin it, saying it was sarcasm 2 days later, that's the kind of crap my father would pull. If you have opinions about something, use facts. I don't think many sexists in America today will tell you they hate Hillary because they're a sexist, or they hated Barack because he was black. But the reality is, it's true. And right now, there's millions of people in this country who are threatened by a woman becoming the most powerful, important person on this planet. And that's a real problem for a lot of people. The white men in this country who have been here for centuries and who have been running this country for centuries are losing grip and losing power, and they've got a huge problem with that, rather than embracing it for the possibility of the best person winning or the best situation happening. And I don't care what color other people are or what sex they are or what they believe in, or it doesn't matter. It just comes down to the person. And hopefully more people will see Trump and his cronies for what they are. They're racist. They're sexist. They're fearmongers. They're full of hate and anger. They've got entitlement issues.
I think that was a great note to leave off on. J.G. Daniel, Hate or Be Hated, How I Survived Right-Wing Extremism. You can find the book on Amazon.com, and you can also find his Facebook page, Hate or Be Hated, How I Survived Right-Wing Extremism. Mr. Daniel, thank you so much.
Hey, thank you.
Have a good day.
Hey, you too.
And now a word from our sponsors. OppermanReport.com. Hey, do you like what you're hearing? Do you like the work that you see us doing here at Opperman Report? You can support that work by becoming a member at OppermanReport.com. And as you have access to over 200 exclusive shows and interviews that you can't find on YouTube or Spreaker or iHeart or iTunes or KYAH. You can't find them anywhere else online, exclusive to our member sections, to our members. Also, too, there's images, videos, documents, court docs. And don't forget, you can hear your ad played here on the Opperman Report, reach hundreds and hundreds of thousands of people on a daily basis because the show is repeated every day all over the world. Contact me at oppermanreport@gmail.com and I'll give you a good deal on advertising rates.
Have you ever thought about opening your own mobile cart or kiosk business? Maybe the facility you manage could establish new revenue by adding coffee, food, or retail services. Cart King International can be the answer to your needs. Cart King is a North American designer and manufacturer of the finest mobile coffee, food, and retail carts and kiosks. Cart King has been working with clients and corporations across North America for 20 years, providing innovative designs, custom manufacturing, and timely delivery. Carts and kiosks are fun, and so are the dozens of designs on our website. Please visit us today at www.cart-king.com or just call us at 1-877-986-7771 and get your sales rolling.
The Opperman Report is brought to you by Aquadam.net. You can give them a call at 707-764-2119. A flooded home is never easy to deal with. You're left with the mess to clean up, the insurance companies to deal with, and not to mention all the memories, the precious memories that are lost in the flood. You can never replace those. And Aquadam can be a tool in your arsenal to protect your home and property from the floodwaters. The cofferdam is filled with water to control water and is reusable as long as it's taken care of. It can protect your home or business from rising floodwaters like a dam, but without the beavers. It can also be used in construction. If you need an area to be dewatered, an Aquadam can do the job. An Aquadam was used at SeaWorld in Orlando for the Mako roller coaster ride during the coaster's construction by dewatering the work area. An Aquadam is now dewatering the work area at San Antonio SeaWorld for their newest roller coaster ride. An Aquadam has been used in many construction projects all around the U.S. and all around the world. Now give Aquadam a call, 707-764-2119. You can look them up online at aquadam.net. You can find them on Facebook at Aquadam Inc. You call them up, you email them, you tell them Ed Opperman sent you, and they're going to take 10% off the price. Aquadam.net, 707-764-2119.
Are you ready to change your life, but don't know how to start? Is your stress and worries keeping you awake at night? Have you been battling grief, anxiety, or depression all alone? Have you lost touch with your own sense of being or spirituality? Soul Free Therapies offers professional and affordable live video streaming counseling and coaching services from the comfort of your own home. Sessions offered in English, Spanish, and Portuguese. Go to our website at www.soul-free.com and book your first session today.
If you find yourself in need of legal representation, it can be a very stressful time in your life. In my career, I have dealt with thousands of lawyers, I've dealt with thousands of law firms, and I can confidently recommend to you Keith M. Davidson at kmdlaw.com. Available 24 hours, 7 days a week. Just log into kmdlaw.com. That's kmdlaw.com. Or you can call toll-free 833-4KMD-LAW. That's 833-4KMD-LAW. Personal injury, wrongful death, STDs, sexual assault, car accidents. They handle it all efficiently and professionally. It doesn't matter how imposing the opposition may be, because the team at kmdlaw.com are battle-tested and fierce. They will not stop until justice prevails. Go to kmdlaw.com or call toll-free 833-4KMD-LAW. If you're in for the fight of your life, stop screwing around and contact KMD Law. PureSoapFlakes.com. 218-568-2525. Have you ever heard of Castile Soap? Pure Soap Flake Company handcrafts fine soap bars, laundry powder, and concentrated soap flakes using organic vegetable oils from their northern Minnesota facility. Bathe your body and wash your clothes with Pure Soap products that are free of fragrance, GMOs, palm oil, sodium lauryl sulfate, and synthetic additives. Keep it clean, folks. Pure Soap Flake Company products are kind to living creatures and sensitive skin, safe for drains and waterways, and work great in high-efficiency washers and top and front-loading machines. They have a little promotion going on. Contact them to order some soap. Mention the Opperman Report. You're going to get a free gift. They're going to send a little extra soap, travel size, soap bars and laundry soap, cleaning soap flakes. I've been using that stuff all day long today. Great stuff. Order today at puresoapflakes.com or give them a call, 218-568-2525, 218-568-2525. Pure Soap Flake Company is a proud member of the Handcrafted Soap and Cosmetic Guild.